Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another one of my art streams. Today is going to be like a combination lecture and me kind of messing around. We're going to be talking about 3D stuff. I've got SketchUp loaded up here, and we're just going to talk about some things that you can do as far as environmental design and using a little bit of using SketchUp as a tool. Right here, I've got an old version of SketchUp. It's SketchUp Make 2017. It's been on my computer for forever. I think it was one of the last free versions, and I was just lucky to nab it. I'm not sure you can get SketchUp for free anymore, but maybe you can. You should check into that as far as a standalone program. But I know that it is available as a website. You can go to app.sketchup.com and practice some of the same things that I'll do here and a bit more. And there are tons of tutorials on SketchUp if you're more interested in exploring it. So I'll talk a bit more about like principles and design and like my personal workflow, what I do with SketchUp. So yeah, tons of stuff. I'm always sorry if people can't join. Watching the Discord chat, someone said they can't make it, and I'm sorry, but that is why I record these on YouTube. Alright, so I'll go ahead and get in here, and I'm just going to be using some of these tools, but like, exploring 3D space is introduces a lot of new elements. Like, we're going to be mainly saying how making 3D spaces relates back to, 2D images and drawings. So for the vast majority of what I use 3D spaces for is to mock up backgrounds, and you can do that in mock up backgrounds or complicated pieces of technology or like weapons or stuff like that. Um, Lots of other people have made stuff that's available in like the 3D warehouse in SketchUp. Tons of neat stuff is available, uh, and like I I I use that type of stuff for like drawing reference all the time, and so like that's one of the things that I really like about SketchUp is that it does these kind of hard black outlines on everything. Um, I know that there are other ways that you can get other 3D programs to do that, but SketchUp just kind of does it automatically without me having to ask it, so that's super nice. But yeah, so for instance, we got a couple of examples of donut shapes here. So we can revolve around that, and we can see that it is a donut, and it's got these nice kind of outlines here. They're kind of bumpy. I don't know if you can see that in the stream or not, but like that's the way SketchUp models things. Is just it uses a bunch of polygons, and so you can see the corners, but the faces and stuff are rounded out, which is kind of nice. And if you needed to draw a donut in reference at any point, you could just make one in SketchUp. I think I can show you how to do that real quick. Could show you some stuff. Alright, so I've been using the orbit tool and the zoom tool. And then if we can make a circle, right? And then we can select the face and delete it. And then we can use the circle tool again, but locked to a point. And we can have that out the side like that. And then we can do a follow me command. Let's see here. I think it's got to be somewhere. Tools, follow me. Right. Yeah. And then I can use the follow me tool, click on the circle, and it will follow the path of the other circle. And it will make this nice kind of donut shape. You can also do that to create spheres because there's no like sphere tool, unfortunately, in this version of SketchUp. Probably in the Pro version or something like that, but That's not the version we have. So yeah, so that's a quick how to make a donut shape. But that follow me tool is useful for a ton of stuff. I've used it for like uh, building design. I've used it for like trying to make a unique cityscape or something like that. And yeah, I'll go over that stuff as well, provided that we have the time. So yeah, all right. So to talk about principles real quick, like we can see that size and scale matters. So we've got our model here, our carpenter, and we've got a smaller donut model here. We've got maybe like a medium one over here. That's it looks about the same size in in perspective. But if I were to get closer to it from its point of view, it's pretty big in comparison, I think anyway. But yeah, so we can tell that, like, in proportion to this person, this is kind of big for a donut. This is an inner tube shape. It's the same donut or torus, I think, is the topographical term or like a topological term. Forgive me, I'm not that familiar with mathematics, but I know that torus is another way to describe a donut shape. But yeah, so, and the size and scale of things matters, right? So we got this small regular size one, and then we got a bigger one, and then we got this one. And then we can make things that are absolutely massive in scale. This is a donut the size of a skyscraper. And we can tell that size is a principle of 3D, that impacts three-dimensional space. Um, like if we make something this absolutely gigantic, then we're gonna have that it provides a sense of like gravity to the picture when we have something big and our subjects are small in comparison to it. But yeah, so size, repetition could be a principle. I've repeated the same torus or donut shape here a couple of times. But yeah, so let me move on to like my my thing over here. I can kind of show you what I've done here. So if I wanted to lay out like a city intersection, a four-way intersection with buildings on every corner or something like that, I could go in and I could hand draw. What I did is, like, before I did these lines by hand, and then I drew in these buildings, and I can do all that. I can demonstrate all that. Let me just do that instead. So I'm gonna come up here, grab my rectangle tool, and I'll make it so big. And let's call it 10. 10 or something like that. Oh, it's not doing that. Okay, well, whatever. It's okay, I can fix that anyways. Gotta switch between a mouse here. Alright. I'm gonna change this thing's scale a little bit, just to bring it out. Now, it's important that we lay down the rectangle on the ground to kind of give us a preliminary kind of shape to work with. So from here, you can do freehand and say like that. Say that you didn't want to do a city corner or something. Say you wanted to do something more natural. Well, you can just kind of draw a more natural shape out here. And so let's get over it, kind of like a piece of paper. Okay, we switch under this line here. There's a freehand tool, and so you can use the freehand tool. I'm using it with my graphics tablet here to make these kind of nice and organic looking shapes. let's use something more like this. I need the shapes to bond together at the end. Alright, there we go. Say you wanted to make something a little bit more organic and natural looking as far as like terrain. So we can come back here and we can use the push pull tool and extrude that. And then we can come back and they're like, oh, maybe that doesn't look quite so natural. That's okay. We can use the scale, select the face, and then hit Control Alt, we'll go to the center, and then we can scale it down and all of the sides kind of slope with it this time. And we can just kind of do that now and again as many times as we like to create the shapes that appeal to us. And then maybe I could do like an off-center scale or something like that, just to give it some variety. And that way we've got kind of these sloping figure shapes. Could be interesting. Maybe it doesn't look perfectly natural, but it can still look pretty cool. So anyways, if you wanted to make natural like hill like terrain or something like that, that's one way that you could do it in this particular program anyway. Alright, so going back to demonstrating how to do this, if I wanted to draw out like a simple city grid or something like that, I could start by drawing the intersection. I'll just draw the street corners meeting at this T-cross or whatever, right? And then if I wanted, this is one great thing, you can kind of rough in a landscape, and you could draw a map and make things a lot more like organic looking. Like say I had like a river flowing through like a part of it or something. Maybe this is a more massive thing. Come in with the eraser tool and just kind of dink away these things. But yeah, so I'll come back in with a rectangle tool if I wanted to make like a building structure proper, right? Let's say we got one like that, say we got one like that, and then say we don't want them all rectangles, we want more of a triangle this time. Well, we can do that too. I'm just going to do that with the line tool here. This building will be more triangular shaped. But yeah. Erase a little doodad right there. But yes, so then we can orbit back down here. And we can use the push-pull tool to make our street corner. And then we've built up buildings. And then we've made sort of an interesting space here. And maybe I can use, like, to emphasize that this is a river, I can use this push-pull on this shape. I guess that's not closed. Huh, wonder why not. I wonder if that's there. Will this work now? Nope, it's still connected somehow to the rest of that. Those are cut off though. A lot of problem solving and making 3D stuff too. Especially if you're not 100% proficient with it, which I'm not usually. This is another thing to keep in mind whenever you're using like the push-pull tool from a surface. You don't have closed geometry here necessarily. You can come back in and fix that with like the line tool if you really want, and you can just kind of join these corners and they'll close the bottom if you want to do that. which I mean, can be nice, but like I'm not going for super, you know, professional 3D modeled looking stuff. I'm just looking for something that I can draw from. So if I go in, I can come in from like a street level perspective, right? And I could use walk around, I think, if I can find it. Huh. Tools, camera, walk. Here we go. Yeah. And we could use this as a way to kind of navigate the space. Assuming it's a big one. Oh, and say like, hey, look at that. I've got a unique uh, lower view of a corner here that's looking up at all sorts of stuff. And maybe I could draw like a cityscape or something like that. But yeah. And you can make your buildings more interesting by using stuff like offsets. So if I click this face and make an offset, use the push pull to kind of push that into the building, I can make an offset. And I could extend that to the ground if I wanted to. Just using the line tool. Going to the bottom there, so maybe it looks a little bit more like an actual building or something like that. But yeah, and then it's got this big ol' offset, and maybe it looks nicer and prettier to you. I know it does for me. Something like that. Push pull. Whoops. Wrong face. Push it in a little. Yeah, and make things a bit more interesting. Maybe there's doors and stuff over there. And this is a triangular shaped building, but you can do basically the same thing. But yeah, that's one way you can make things interesting with like offsets and push pull, and that's it's another reason that I really like SketchUp. So yeah, I can draw like a map of a cityscape and say that we didn't want to do anything this big. Totally fine. We can do an interior as well. Let me go over here. We'll draw a new rectangle. And we'll do... I don't know why it does this. It always draws them upside down. Anyway. You can bring in your rectangle tool again. Maybe we can build some internal walls. Something like that. Something like that. Go in with our eraser and erase this line. Come back with the push-pull tool. Extrude that up. And bam, we got a wall. This can be an interior and it's a room or something, And we can draw out a space. So say maybe we want a couch or something like that. Could use that as well. Oh wait, maybe not. So we'll select both of these faces. And okay, I guess it didn't like that, but whatever. Your mind to control. Let's see, we wanted to bring that up. And bam, we got a basic, like, couch shape or something like that. Let's see, we wanted a nice TV stand or something like that, right? We can totally do that. I'll do another offset on this guy. And just keep doing push-pull or something like that. And I could go in and mess with the ratio and stretch and squish this stuff. You know, and say like we wanted to break these walls up with a window or something like that. Can do that too. Draw a rectangle on one of the walls here. Push pull. Push it all the way through. And bam, we've got a cutout that's a window that we can see the landscape through. But yeah, like and this is a quick like mock-up that is in perfect perspective, you know? And so if you wanted to, you could just take a screenshot of this and then use it to trace over, and you would have a room in perspective and stuff in more or less the shape that you want it in. I mean, of course, your couch isn't going to be like boxy and stuff like this, but you can use your imagination to make sure that the corners are all rounded out and that it can look soft or something like that. And maybe that looks a little long for a couch, but you know, whatever. You get the idea, right? You come in with these 3D tools. There are all sorts of stuff that you can do. See, we wanted a couple like pictures on the wall or something like that, right? Could come in with our offsets. And then these could be frames. Push-pull tool. Pull them out a little bit. Pull them out a little bit. And now you've got kind of something that you could work with as far as like an interior scene, you know? This could be someone's living room, you know? Yeah, and some people are saying Blender is easier. Maybe it is for you. Like I'm not completely 100% learned. Whatever 3D software you end up, you know, learning for yourself is going to be the easiest thing. So like I started with SketchUp back when it was free, and but yeah, Blender's a lot. It's kind of an overload for me. I'm just now approaching it again. But that's one of my favorite things about SketchUp is that it's got these like tools. You draw shapes, you can extrude them really easily. You know, you can make circles and arcs and stuff. Say we wanted like a circular footrest or something like that, right? We can draw a circle on the ground. Push pull, extrude it up, and we got a basic, you know, thing here. And we can make things, you know, increasingly, you know, more fancy if we wanted. And just draw a straight line across here, and then we could just kind of continue it from there to there and there to there. You know, and then if we want to offset again, grab our offset tool, click our faces, bring stuff in again, match it up on that side, match it up on that side, and we could do, you know, it's push pull in there with there, and bam, it's easy, you know? Or at least that's what I consider easy anyway. But yeah, there are tutorials for everything and with everything. So find out what works for you, right? So like and approach this as like a thing to help you in your drawing, right? So, you know, if I were to if I were to pull this into my, drawing program, I'd instantly have a whole bunch of stuff that I could work with, and I can soften up the edges, and I can draw people interacting with the scene or whatever, you know. And then if I needed to, and then another great thing about having the 3D model is that you can reuse it for another angle sometime. So like say you modeled a room that you really liked or something like that. You could draw the same room from a variety of different angles just by taking screenshots and importing them into whatever drawing software that you're using. Oh, I'm sorry. Hopefully it was caught on the recording. I'm told my mic died for a second. But yeah. Interested in a contest modeling a couch in different programs to see which is faster. Whatever. That would be super interesting to see. I bet people who are proficient with different programs would have a lot of different ways of going about that. But yeah. So, like, that's one example of an interior. If we wanted to do like a bed, we could do that with, the same tools. And we could control stuff maybe a little bit better. It's one thing with all of this, like, open geometry. If you've worked with like this stuff on the floor, you can close it all up and like delete the floor, and you'll have separate objects again. In fact, let me do that so I can mess with some of this stuff. Alright, so I could select this entire floor and delete it. And now when I triple click, I'm not selecting the entire room. I can select just the thing. So if I go in there and I adjust my scale and I shorten this up a bit, and then maybe make it a little bit taller. Yeah, maybe not the most comfy looking scene in the world. But you can change stuff like that too. So like say we went back in and this right angle's a bit harsh or something, right? Like that, right? We can go back in and select this line. Let me get in a bit closer here. We select this line, and then we could just move it along. Whoops. Huh. Oh, okay. That's right. It's not connected there. It's connected there. Alright. Well, but I think we could still... There we go. Huh. Interesting that it's doing that. But that's okay. You can bring a line from there to there. And then maybe the couch looks a little bit comfier. I don't know. Could extend it out. Can play with it in all sorts of ways. But yeah. No, yeah, SketchUp is good for like precision stuff too. But I don't know. I found it personally. I found it very, 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 very inviting and free, and I didn't have to switch between like a whole bunch of modes to make something like offset the way that I wanted it to. I don't know. I don't know enough other 3D programs to really state a super informed opinion, but you know, you know what you know. It is super short in sitting space. So let me see. Let me pull this forward a bit. Maybe I can pull it all forward a bit. There's a bit of an overhang there. And maybe we can have that. I don't know. Whatever y'all want to do. Let me pull that one out to there, and then pull that one out to here. And then pull this tiny thing out to here. And, you know, that'll look a little more comfy, right? Shearing, I'm not so familiar with that, unfortunately. Somehow it isn't symmetric, but still looks good. Yeah, and there are symmetry tools in the like too. Unfortunately, it's been so long since I last used SketchUp that it's not as familiar to me, unfortunately. But you know, uh, stuff is stuff, and things are things. Whoops. So we got like a bit too close and personal with our television or whatever. And we can do an offset to make this look better too. Oh, whoops. Nope, that's not the offset. That is the scale. This is the offset. Just a little bit of an offset. And just a little bit. That's the... We can bring that out a little bit. Whatever. It's not really what I was looking for. I was looking for more of that. But that's okay. And say we wanted an offset for this corner or something like that. We can make something. Whoops. Okay. Maybe it would need to be pulled out because it's trying to do it alongside here. Let me see if I can select. Okay, I selected the wall. Select it there. Can I offset from the inside? Oh, I could do it from there maybe. Would it work from here? Nah, it's all doing it from there. Yeah, maybe I did that wrong. But there are different ways to go about it, I'm pretty sure. Let me... Here we go. I'm going to take a line and close up this window again. There we go. And then maybe I can get this to work the way that I want it to. Yeah, towards the inside. There we go. And we can use push-pull to give that a little bit of framing. And then we wanted a window, right? Well, we delete that. We made a window. It's not perfect, but whatever, you know. Yeah. Alright. Let's see here. What else? So, like, when you're going into, like, a 3D space, you want to consider these, you know, the principles of design as usual. Like, if you're repeating things like, you know, offsets, you want to make sure that you're repeating them in ways that make sense. Variety, you know, we've got a bunch of different things in here. We got a window, we got some picture portraits, we got a couch, interesting looking, we got a footrest that's like circular as opposed to the couch's like super angularness or more angularness. And then we've got, you know, things are different things that are identifiable. So we've got a variety of things here. Uh, with rhythm, things are evenly spaced. As far as we're trying to make this couch like centered with the room, centered with the TV maybe. I think it's probably not exactly centered, but I don't know. Close enough. Livable. But yeah, and make sure that you got a balance. We've got elements on this side of the room that are a little more heavier, maybe softer, maybe a bit more inviting. And then maybe on this end, something a little like harsher. You know, TV stand doesn't necessarily look all that comfy to sit on, but couch looks at least maybe somewhat inviting. And again, you could do this. This is not a model, really for good use in like a 3D game or something like that. Again, this is like I'm pulling this all back to like drawing two-dimensional scenes, drawing comics, drawing, whatever. But yeah. Did anyone have any questions? Well, let me see. What else would be nice to do? Would we like to model a kitchen or a bedroom or something like that? What would seem interesting? Do we want to go back to maybe making something a little more natural looking? Basic structured characters? Yeah, I could do something like that. I mean, it's not gonna look humanoid. Like this is one thing that SketchUp is not necessarily good for is making humanoid figures, but I can make something like that. Give me a moment. Let's say we wanted a. I'm gonna make something that's like a little boxy in form, but perhaps it could work as like a character, right? So say that we wanted a person that fits in this box or something like that. We could do a number of things. So I want them tall enough for this room, right? But they're not going to be taller than the window necessarily. Let's make them about as tall as the TV. There we go, that looks about right. And so if I wanted to come in here with just my line tool, I could come up the center and I could bisect this in a couple ways. And knowing what I know about human proportions and anatomy, I can kind of make a figure. Or something close enough to a figure. And come in here and erase some of these lines. So say we got something like this, for example. Could come back in with that. We'll constrain it there and make it go there. We'll do that. Constrain it there and make it go there. There we go. We'll get another line in there. Aha. We're missing lines. That's why we're not getting anything. You know, but that's kind of a silly way to go about things. Let's try and do it a little bit smarter, huh? Let's do a push-pull to there. Whoops. There we go. And then from the inside, that's going to be a little bit more challenging, but that's okay. Let's hide that for a while. There we go. We're going to hide that for a little while. And we're going to bring that back over. Constrain it to there. And then we're going to do the same thing over here to make like a leg shape or something. There we go. And then maybe for this, we will push it back to the end. Ahaha! And we got maybe something that looks a little bit like legs, huh? And then from here, I'm sure there's a more symmetrical way of doing this. Draw with symmetry when you can. Makes things easier. We'll bring that into about right there. Why not? And there, that looks maybe a little bit more like a head shape. And then we're doing like a Minecraft Steve type of thing here. You know? But whatever. Let's do an offset here and we'll make some arms for a character. That seems like it might work. And this is where working in symmetry would help you make an offset of the exact same size on the other. Here, let me do something a little silly. Nope, that is not what I wanted to choose. This is what I wanted to choose. Alright, so I will make a line. I will make a line. Constrained along the green. There. And then I will make that constrained along the red. To there. There we go. And then I can make that one constrained along the blue. Constrained along the blue to there. Yeah, and then we can just kind of finish that up. There we go. push pull is gonna look a little bit weird, but that's okay. Everything looks a little bit weird. Yeah, you can see this is why I want, like, doing this in SketchUp is not exactly ideal. As far as making human or organic looking forms. I'd be more inclined to use something like uh, my one that I use for like sculpting organic looking forms is Sculptress, you know. And then with this with SketchUp, I'm more looking for creating things and environments in perspective. But use the tools that you have to make things that are good enough for you to use, right? So say we've got a hidden TV here. Yeah, we unhide the last thing that we hid. Yeah. So now we kind of got a figure looking thing. Maybe it's not exact or precisely the way that we want it, but like it's got a torso, it's got arms, it's got legs, it's got a head shape. Firmly good enough for some. I don't know. I'm not perfectly satisfied with it. But neither am I perfectly dissatisfied with it. It's a thing, you know? Say that we wanted to make an edge down there and down there. We could make a push-pull towards the center on that side. And I am so wildly... Forgive me if I'm too far away that you can't see anything. It's quite a wide-looking character. But it can be quirky and stylized in its own way. Maybe here's something that we could do. Could grab this line and then just move it along there. To meet up the inside there. What did that do? That screwed things up. Alright. It doesn't need more refinement? Okay. Well, I'm going about here, and as I said earlier, you're kind of watching me fumble around here. Alright. Yeah, I don't know. So there's a basic blocky figure at least. So like, you could potentially, use the figure as like a stand-in for like what you might actually draw though, right? So once you've modeled this figure, you can move them anywhere in the scene. Like you wanted someone standing by the window, they're right there. You wanted someone standing on the arm of the couch or whatever, they're right there, you know? But now you've got like a figure kind of stand in, and you can tell maybe where things would fall. But yeah, I encourage using 3D programs even if you consider yourself a two-dimensional artist, because it can help your brain think in this way, you know. So which is quite nice, you know, because like you'll need to, in order to make effective, drawings, they're basically illusions, you know. They're and as long as you've kept to the rules of perspective and proportion, they're more effective illusions, you know. And you can stylize them however you want, you know. But is there an option to make it transparent? You mean the figure, or what specifically? I figure there is. Like, I'm pretty sure that there's what was it? The figure so you can position the character and not lose focus on depth. Yeah, I'm sure there is. Um, I'm not sure that I know how to do that, unfortunately. Let's see here. Model info? No. Tools? What I would do in this scenario, real quick, like as far as like SketchUp is concerned, I'm sure that if like once you're a bit more familiar with 3D models, you can do stuff that's a little more intelligent than this. But what you could do is you could just go in and delete the faces, and then you're selecting every single face and you're deleting them. I'm probably making some 3D pros out there cringe, but this is a way that you could do it. And then you just have the lines. We have a couple of faces in here. Ooh, excuse me. There. Ah, now they don't seem joined like they were. That's a shame. There we go. But with some shift clickery, we can get something close enough. And then we could move it around. Move around the scene, and then we could make sure that everything else is... It's transparent, so if it's going to be somewhere, it can be seated on the couch or whatnot. But yeah, I'd be careful here, and I'd try and like hear what I can do to be a little more intelligent about this. And again, depending on what 3D program you're using, you can there'll be different uh, methods to make that work. But there, now I've made that entire thing a group, right? So I can select it and I can move it, and I could duplicate it. One easy way to duplicate it. I want more characters in the scene, maybe. So I use a control, and then I can place one character there and one character there. You know? And if they're roughly the proportion or, consistent, they're roughly the same size. And here's another example of perspective, I know that I've mentioned this before, but if you're hanging characters, you hang them on the same place on the perspective line, right? So perspective line goes through their heads and they're the same height, it's going to meet at their heads. If it's going through their bodies, you know, and if it's going lower and lower, it will continue to be lower and lower, as you see there. But yeah, that's an easy way to think about like hanging characters on a perspective line when they're around the same height or something like that. You know, and they're not necessarily going to be the same height all the time. Say if we took this guy for instance, and we said that, you know what, this guy's going to be on a couch instead. So we're gonna make them lower, and then we're gonna whoops, gonna put them back here, and then we're gonna put them back on the couch or something like that. About whoops, about there or something like that. Now we've got a character to where they're sitting down is going to hang on that point of the perspective line too. So like they're about at the shoulder height when sitting down maybe. I don't know, that doesn't seem super correct, but the principles hold. Like there's going to be the relationships will be familiar. But yeah. There we go. Yeah, probably not the best solution. I don't know if it's the worst one either, but it's, you know what, it probably is. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that is probably the worst solution that I could have implemented. I'm pretty sure there's a way to deal with materials and stuff. I've just completely forgotten how. So I need a remedial course on SketchUp, but I'm more interested in Blender for different reasons right now. I'm eager to make myself a VR chat avatar. That's gonna be a project in and of itself. But anyway, perhaps I'll share that more with you guys later. But yeah, all right. Thanks for coming, everyone. It's been about an hour, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Um, if you enjoyed what I do on YouTube, make sure to leave, like and subscribe and all that. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap up this recording, and gonna continue to play around in 3D, maybe in a different way. But after that, I gotta go to work. So thanks for coming. I'm ending the recording in 3, 2, 1. Bye, guys.